Okay, hi friends. Hello out there in the internet world. I just recorded a really nice intro that was very like podcast profesh, but my tripod thing was wiggling like a motherfucker and I was afraid I was going to give you all motion sickness. My tripod thing is very cheap. The only thing expensive in here is the yarn. But anyway, it was wobbling and weebling. What were those things called? There's like a toy. It was like a blow up toy and you'd like punch it and it would never fall over. Weebles. Weebles wobble, but they never fall over. Oh boy, we are going a little squirrely today here already. I haven't even introduced myself yet. Oh, a minute in now. My name is Melissa. Welcome. This is my knitting room. Welcome to my little corner of the internet where I talk about knitting, mainly knitting, yarn, all the things surrounding knitting mostly. Sometimes I go down other rabbit holes. Did I say this already? I have ADHD, so I get squirrely. I'm like, oh, look, squirrel. You know what? I saw a really cool, oh boy, this is not going to be a good, okay. I saw a guy with a t-shirt on the other day and it was the best t-shirt I've ever seen. It said ADHD across it, but in like the AC/DC logo. So it was like ADHD. And then underneath it, it said road to, hey, look, a squirrel. Instead of road to hell, road to, hey, look, a squirrel. Oh my God, I thought it was amazing. If anybody ever sees that t-shirt, like send me a message and tell me where I can buy it. Yeah, did I introduce myself? This is going to be quite the shit show, this episode, I think. I am medicated today. I am on medication every day. Some days are better than others, obviously. My son also has ADHD. That was my motherly gift to him. And he is on the same medication as me, which is Vyvanse, if you're interested. And he is on a slightly higher dose than me. I am on 20 milligrams and he's on 30 milligrams. And he doesn't take his on weekends. So I've tried a few days taking the ones that, like, I'm not stealing medication from him. I take the ones that he doesn't take on weekends. And yeah, I think I'm gonna get my dosage upped because this ain't working, obviously. Yeah, anyway. Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm 3 minutes in and haven't said anything yet, really. So welcome to my brain. Yeah, let's talk about knitting, shall we? I don't have a lot of knitting to show you, but it was a very heavy knitting month. If you were here last time, you will know why. And I will show you that in my FO section. I will talk about general things at the end. And I will put a timestamp down below if I remember for you, Darren. My brother watches all my episodes, but he's not really interested in the knitting part. He just likes to listen to my general life updates. So he told me at Thanksgiving, he said, I really like it when you put timestamps so I can like just fast forward through all the knitting stuff. So there you go, Darren. I don't even know if he will watch that part because he will just look in my show notes and see. This will be a test to see if he watches until anyway. Okay, let's talk about knitting, shall we? Obviously, I'm very chatty and distractible today, so let's try and stay on. Obviously, we're not going to be staying on it if I can't remember what it's called. If you want to see the level of professionalism here at Stitches Be Slippin, population 1, these are my favorite glasses broke. Look, and broke here too. And I was still gonna wear them today. But then I found these laying around somewhere. So I was like, okay, I'll wear these. Because I can't not wear glasses because then none of you will recognize me. So anyway, let's actually talk about knitting this time. I have 2 FOs to show you. One is a big one. If you were here last time, you will know, and if this is your first time, now you'll know, that I participated in this year's Stephen West Mystery Knit-Along. And this year it was called Go-Go Dynamo. I don't even know if I said that last time. It is the Go-Go Dynamo shawl, and it was a mystery knit-along, which means you get, for Stephen West's mystery knit-alongs, which he does one every year, a new design every year. I don't think I said that on the last one either. So you don't know what the shawl is going to look like. He tells you how much yarn you need, how many colors you need, how much of each color. And yeah, and then he sends it is always the month of October, so he sends the first clue. It's usually on a Thursday. It started, well, at least this year it was on a Thursday. First clue gives you like the first section of the shawl. Second clue gives you the next section of the shawl, blah, blah, blah. You get 4 clues, and then that is the end of it. So the last clue was 1 week ago today. I finished my shawl on, I think it was Sunday or Monday. The last clue, there's like there's always like a early exit option, and I always take that because I don't want to make a schlanket. I am not big enough for those. I barely wear shawls as it is, so if I made an enormous one, I would never wear it. I skipped over what I'm wearing, but it is related to what I'm talking about because this is last year's Mystery Knit-Along by Stephen West. This was the Geo Gradient shawl, and it's quite pretty and it's quite warm because I used non-superwash wool. I don't know if you can see the whole back there. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. Last year was my first year taking part in the Mystery Knit-Along. This year was Stephen West's 15th year of doing the Mystery Knit-Along, so that was exciting for him, I think. I just found some chip crumbs in my chair. Super profesh. Okay, this was the Geo Gradient shawl, and I used this beautiful, soft and squishy as hell non-superwash fingering weight yarn from Polka Dot Creek. And you had to have 4 colors in a gradient. And so this is, I believe, vintage. This one, I can't remember, Dusty Rose. And then this one is, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I'll put it down here because I do know what it is. And this one is also, oh man, I should not be podcasting today. Anyway, these are all 4. I'll put that down here below too. It's been a while. I used to work at Polka Dot Creek as a yarn dyer, and I had to quit because I have rheumatoid arthritis also, and it was getting too hard on my hands. So it's been a while since I've been there and around. I used to know all these colorways off by heart, and it breaks my heart a little bit that I can't remember what this color is. This is Antique Mauve. Antique Mauve is that 3rd one. And this one, I don't think it was chocolate. I think it was something else. Anyway. Yes, anyway, it's really, 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 really soft and squishy. It does not feel like non-superwash yarn. And I did have a little bit of mohair in there somewhere in those eyelet sections. Every year, Stephen encourages people to do a mohair dare, which is a section in the shawl where you can add some mohair and some like nice fluff to it, which I love. Anyway, let's get on to the actual FO here, shall we? I finished my Go-Go Dynamo Mystery Knit-Along, and she's gorgeous, friends. Come on, right? Can you see the edge? Holy moly, people. It's so beautiful. Let me show you. Where do we start? We started with the semicircles. These were the semicircles. So we did 3 of those, and then we attached them to each other with some garter stripes. And then clue 2, we did bubbles and brioche, and bubbles and brioche. And then in clue 3, which you hadn't seen yet, I had done clue 2 in the last episode. So for clue 3, we did 493,788,462 short rows. Hi, editing me from the future. I don't know what the hell that sound was. Like, rewind 10 seconds and listen to it. I don't know what the hell that sound was, but thank you, universe, for helping me emphasize how many bajillion short rows there were. Thank you. I'm exaggerating, but that is how many it felt like. So, doing short rows all the way across. So this little wedge, it's like 3 different sections of short rows. So you do short rows here, short rows here, short rows here, and then you do short rows here, short rows here, short rows here. So a lot of the people on Ravelry who were doing this clue, a lot of the testers had posted in Ravelry saying, highly, highly, highly recommend using a DPN for one of your needles because you're constantly turning the shawl back and forth doing short rows, and you don't want to be like, if you have it on your large circular needles, you're going to be turning the whole entire shawl every time you're turning your short rows. So I had to use a DPN. I didn't have any because I'm morally against them, but I had to go buy some. So I got these Knitter's Pride Zing. You can't see all the needles are up at the top covering it. Anyway, I'm sure you can just take my word for it, but I have slightly hyper focused on this now. So anyway, Knitter's Pride Zing. I was using 3mm needles for this. Stephen West recommended, I think, a 3.75, but I think I've become a loose knitter. I don't know. I had to go down to 3mm. Otherwise my garter stitch was just gonna be all gapey and weird. So I did use 1 DPN for all of my short rows, and it actually was a lifesaver because there were a lot. There were, I think there's 20 of the main color and 19 of this color, which is 39 of these wedges. And while it was not hard knitting at all, it was just like it keeps going and going and going and going. So it wasn't hard, it was just a long time. I was watching Fairy Godfather, his podcast. He was doing like an episode every clue for the Mystery Knit-along, and I was watching his podcast about this clue, and he was like getting through it and whatever, and then at one point he was like, you know, I've done all these, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing really well, and then I look down the rest of the shawl and I feel despair. And I was like, that's exactly, I was like, I had to put a comment down below. I was like, thank you for putting to words my experience in knitting this clue. Okay, and then for clue 4, we went back to the beginning and picked up the cast on edge from those semicircles. And we knitted, oh my God. Okay, I didn't mention I added mohair to my brioche sections. that was the mohair dare. And then there was another mohair dare in clue 4 where we were doing these little tiny baubles, which I think are so cute. So we did some tiny baubles in the contrast color and then some stockinette in between the tiny baubles. And then we did slip stitch triangles. So you can see the slip stitch triangle there and there and there. And yeah, so we did that 3 times and then we bound off. So it wasn't a huge clue. It didn't take a million years, but that was the early exit option. There was another option because there's still lots of yarn left over to pick up along this edge. This is an I-cord edge. So you could leave it finished like this if you wanted to, or you could go along this slip stitch edge and do some like feather and fan stripes, which I was like, nope, I'm done. Thank you very much. Okay, where is there it is. I haven't talked about the beautiful yarn that I used for this. This yarn is almost entirely from Botanical Yarn, who is based in the UK, but she does travel a lot and she comes to lots of fiber festivals in North America. I saw her in person twice this year, once at Flock in Seattle and once at Knit City here in Calgary. And then I actually bought this online from Stash Lounge here in Calgary. And what is this attached to? Anyway, my main color, like I said, this, I don't know if I said, this is all fingering weight yarn except for the mohair. So the fingering weight yarn, this is my contrast color and it is called Tulip Louvre Orange. It's kind of blowing out there. It's a really pretty corally pink. It has some orange spots in it. I said in my last episode, I don't know what Tulip Louvre Orange means, and maybe it's probably a really colorful, pretty flower. And I did Google it, and it is a type of tulip that is very similar to this color. So, yay me. And my main color was this one. This is called Pampas Grass. Did I show you the last tag? I don't know. Pampas Grass. And ooh, where'd it go? Tulip Louvre Orange. And for my mohair, I had this mohair in my stash and it just, I thought it went really well. He said if you're going to do a mohair dare I mean, you could do whatever you want. You could add in a pop of color or you could match it to your contrast color. And so my contrast color was this one. And I had this mohair in my stash. Holy, what is with the light today? Everything's blowing out. Kind of, maybe that's better. This is Frankie Gray Fibers and the colorway is called Chick Flick. So I held that together in the sections where he said to do your mohair dare. I held it together with my contrast color, so it's not like super, super obvious, but I think it's really pretty together. My lighting is, don't usually have that problem. But anyway, there she is. And she's all done. I also used a Botanical Yarn project bag, which is pretty on theme. Sophie, who is the botanical knitter, or the botanical yarn, she is also obsessed with pink. So I feel I vibe with her. I don't think I've spoken to her in person, but we vibe, even though she doesn't know me and I don't know her. Yeah, I think that was all there was to say about that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things I could say, but I really love the Mystery Knit Along experience. Stephen West does a really good job with it. He is very creative and I love the kind of like community feeling of like thousands of people all over the world knitting the same thing at the same time, and nobody knows where it's gonna go. So there's a lot of people like guessing what we're gonna do next, and he does quite often introduce techniques that you may not have tried before. So there's a lot of people, if you're having troubles, like to help you and maybe having the same problem, and there's lots of support. So yeah, it's really, really fun. I hope to do it again. I'm not sure, but it really does take up the entire month. Like I don't have a lot of knitting to show you because like I've been knitting like a crazy fiend all month, but it has only been on this. It took an entire month of like knitting for hours every day. But she's pretty. Okay, my other FO I have to show you. You're gonna laugh. Do me a favor, laugh along with me instead of laughing at me, okay? Last episode, I mentioned that I think I had finished clue 2 and was waiting for clue 3 and had like a day or two, and instead of knitting the sleeves that I should be knitting, decided to cast on the Emery vest by Hohe Locatelli. I'll put a picture up here. Now, I think we all knew that that was a silly decision. Not silly, it's a beautiful vest, and I really do want that vest, but my brain was not in the right headspace for that, and all the cables, there's 5 different cable charts. So then I was watching another podcast, I can't remember which one it was, and they were wearing like really pretty, like just bulky, simple stockinette vests, and I was like, I want one of those. So I ripped out the like inch that I had knit on my Emery vest, and I made this instead with the same yarn. So this is called, I found a free pattern on Ravelry, and it is called See My Vest Chunky. She also has the same pattern called See My Vest Worsted, so that's same pattern, 2 different weights. This is the chunky version, and like I said, free. It's by Emily Baldwin. I'll put the link down below. As always, links for patterns, designers, yarn, etc. Everything will be down below. And it's size inclusive, which is rare for a free pattern, which is important to me. I'm not going to talk about making patterns on here that aren't size inclusive. So yeah, it knit up. I think I finished clue 3 and I had, I think a day, maybe. It took a really long time to knit those fucking short row edges. So then I was like, I was just not in the mental headspace for all the cables, but I really wanted something quick and satisfying. So I used that yarn and made this vest. I made it in like, I think 24 hours, maybe 36 hours. And it's like, it was folded. I think that's why it's doing that. It's a bulky weight. It's extremely lightweight though, because of the yarn that I used. It's the same yarn I showed you last time, but I'll show it to you again. It's called the Woolfolk Far. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's considered a worsted weight or an Aran weight, but it's, if you've worked with Woolfolk before, you know, it's insanely soft. It's some of the softest yarn out there. It is, oh, I had trouble with this last time, 100% Ovis 21 Ultimate Merino wool. So it's incredibly soft. And then I held that together with Surrey Silk Alpaca in the colorway Oatmeal from Polka Dot Creek. And those two together, it's like the, what was I saying? The Woolfolk Far, Far. It's like a chain construction. So there's like a tube and all of the fibers are blown into it. And so it's very warm, but it's really, really lightweight. So it's not like spun, because the spinning the plies together makes it heavier. Anyway, it's extremely lightweight and it's super warm, and yeah, I love it. I made a few. It has a little split hem, which is in the pattern. This was like a week ago, so I don't remember. I made I feel like, I don't know if my gauge was off or I read the pattern wrong, but this part felt really long to me when I tried it on. So when I picked up the collar, I made it long. I did more rows of ribbing than the pattern called for to kind of make it pull in more. And then when I bound this off, I bound it off quite tightly to like help it suck in a little bit more and to bring it up a little bit more. And yeah, and the armhole, like it's a basic slip over vest, and it's really cute. When I was binding off the collar, this is driving me absolutely crazy. I don't know if there's anything I can do about this. When I was binding off the collar, I was going around, just trying to be nice and tight. And then there's one bind off stitch that's like super loose. You see that? It's like tight, 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 bleh, tight, 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 tight. And I don't know what I can probably, I don't know, it drives me crazy, but it's right in the smack dab, right in the fucking middle, right? Like, oh, anyway. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that besides like trying to tack it down with another strand of yarn or something like that behind it, maybe. I don't know. It really annoys me, but okay. Oh, I tried to put that over and it didn't go far enough. Okay, those are my only FOs that I have to show you. I don't have a lot of whips on the go, actually. I have not touched my Market Henley, which is, I don't even know where it is. Oh, it's over there. Hang on, I have a funny story about my, okay. I'll just quickly show you in case you're new here and you don't know what the Market Henley is. The Market Henley is this. This is a Henley long sleeve sweater pattern by Clara Jackson, who's perfectly knotted. It is fingering weight all over texture. It's like waffle stitch is what it's meant to be. I have the whole body done and I am successfully procrastinating knitting the sleeves. But last time I talked about it, I was talking about the yarn. And the yarn I'm using is Sonder Yarn Company Sunday Morning 4-ply in the colorway Whale Watching. Last episode, I was showing you the yarn and I was talking about it, and I must have been talking about it really fast or something. But one of my lovely viewers commented and made me laugh out loud. And she said, when I first said Sunday Morning 4-ply, she thought I said Sunday Morning Foreplay. It still makes me laugh. So thank you, Sandy, for that comment. And for the rest of my life, if I ever use Sonder yarn again, if I ever use Sunday Morning 4-ply again, I shall be calling it Sunday Morning Foreplay from here on out. So I thank you, Sandy, for bringing that little gem into my life. I truly appreciate it. Okay, so I do have, oh my God. Why did I not bring my whips over to where I'm sitting? Can you tell I'm getting tired of like splicing videos together? I used to do that a lot and now I'm just like, fuck it. Okay, since my MCal is off the needles and on my shoulders, I have the availability now to start doing other things, obviously. And I'm still not in the mood to be knitting fingering weight textured sleeves. So yeah, we're not going to talk about that. My younger son's birthday is coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, I think. And he asked me if, well, he didn't ask me to knit something, but it was a week or two ago and it was pretty cold out. and he was like, Mom, can we get some scarves? Because my neck is cold at school when I'm outside. And I was like, well, they have balaclavas with like a little face sticking out. And then he started wearing that, and he hasn't mentioned anything since. But then I was like, I should probably knit him a scarf. So a while ago, this is the same kid that I knit socks for in maybe 2 episodes ago. And when he told me he wanted socks, I had been out at Polka Dot Creek in Airdrie. I think I was getting more, I can't remember what I was doing. But while I was there, I got a skein of self-striping yarn to make him socks with. And then I made socks with a different yarn. But this is the yarn that I bought. This is their Calgary Flames self-striping yarn. And I was gonna make him socks with it, but then when he told me the other day that he wanted a scarf, I was like, I bet I could use that self-striping yarn to make him a scarf, because he said he wanted, when I said, what color do you want? And he said Flames. Calgary Flames is our NHL team. And I was like, I don't have red or orange or whatever yarn available that's not earmarked for something. So then I thought, oh, well, wait a minute. I have that sock yarn that I got to make him socks. And it's a 50-gram ball that you get when you buy self-striping yarn from Polka Dot Creek, which is lots to make a pair of socks. But I was like, is it enough for me to make a scarf? So I got out, I unpacked my Erlbacher knitting machine. The bitch is back. Her name is Blanche, and she's like her namesake, who is, where is Blanche up there? She's the one with, there she is, that's Blanche right there. And Sophia and Rose and Dorothy. Yeah. My golden girls. I named my circular sock machine after Blanche because she's a bit of a bitch. She's a little sassy and she can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but I got her out because I did not feel like knitting an entire tube of this Flames yarn. So I got her out and I cranked this tube. And this is how long the 50-gram tube is. And it comes with a 20-gram mini in, I think this is just their gray colorway, just gray. So at the end, I picked up the stitches on the end, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep this. Please let me know down below if you have any like brilliant suggestions for me. So it comes, like I said, with a 20-gram mini. So I've got a decent amount of yarn to add onto each end. So my plan is just to like add the gray on to the end of each side. So this end, I just picked it up and knitted for a while, and then I don't even know what the hell I was doing. I was gonna do twisted rib, and then I was like, ooh, I should do like a broken rib, but twisted broken rib, and then I was like, that looks kind of weird, and then I just bound it off, so I don't know if it's gonna stay that way. I did have an idea, I didn't bring it with me. I showed you my book of color work pages that I can chart stuff out on. And I had an idea to not color work, but you can chart out things. Like my idea was to do Go Flames in like purl bumps instead of like stranded color work, which is a pain in the ass on like small circumference. I don't enjoy it, but I thought maybe if I did it in purl bumps it might work. So that is my idea for this end. So I charted it out, but I don't know if that is gonna look good, or let me know, please, if you have any ideas for what to do for the other ends. Like, it's long enough for him for sure. Like, he's smaller than me, so it's long enough for sure for him to like wrap around and like tuck under his jacket. So I don't feel like it needs to be too long. And see, that looks really weird. That looks like a weird, I don't know what that looks like. Yeah, that's gonna come off. I'm gonna take that off and do something else, but maybe I should just do like an inch or 2 inches of ribbing here and just call it a day, because like when I put that on, it looks like that looks fine. Like this giant blob at the end when all the stripes are this width kind of looks weird. So maybe I just do ribbing. Like I don't want it to roll up, so I need to have some sort of ribbing at the end. I don't want to do an I-cord bind off. So maybe I do like however many rows. I'm just sorry, this is just stream of consciousness here for a minute. But like the rows are generally 4 or 5 rows of each color. So maybe I'll just do that much in stockinette and then that much again in ribbing and bind it off. I don't know. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Again, this is Polka Dot Creek self-striping in the Calgary Flames colorway. She has self-striping yarn in all of the Canadian hockey teams colorways. But a lot of those colorways like translate into other teams too, because most sporting teams, like there's not a lot of different color combinations, so you could use that for other things too. Like the Montreal Canadiens one, I think is like a dead ringer for the Buffalo Bills NFL team. I know that because I used it to make a hat for my friend who lives in New York and is a huge Buffalo Bills fan. Anyway, this and a lot of other stuff, to be honest, is living in this. This is one of my very first ever project bags, like handmade project bags that I bought from Shannon. Shannon lives here in Calgary and her Etsy shop will be linked below. Her name on Instagram is So Shannon YYC, like SEW Shannon YYC. And she makes tons and tons and tons of project bags. She makes the awesome like doctor bags with like the wire on the top so they open it and it stays open. She makes tons of like smaller sock sacks. This one, I bought this like very early knitting. Me and my friend Karen, who lives in New York, my friend Britt, we were all learning to make socks together. And when I saw this pattern with all the socks on it, I ordered 3 of them from Shannon. I think Britt's has pink polka dots, and I can't remember what color Karen's polka dots were, but we all have these matching bags from Shannon. I just thought it was really cute. So this goes back a long ways. It actually, I need to wash it because it's a little dirty at the top, because that's where you put your hands and get it dirty. Anywho, so yeah, let me know if you have any suggestions for that. My next whip, it isn't actually a whip because I haven't cast it on yet, but I have the yarn ready. For, I think it was Mother's Day, I made my mother-in-law a Sophie scarf by Petite Knit, and I used this undyed, beautiful, amazing soft. This is like 100% alpaca, and this was I got this from one of the ladies in our knit night. She was destashing when she was moving, and she had 2 skeins of this, and I was like, oh my god, it's incredible. So I used this and held it together with an undyed mohair and made a Sophie scarf for my mother-in-law for Mother's Day. And she wears it a lot. I've made her other things and have never ever seen them again, but she really likes little scarves. So I thought this for sure would be a home run, and it was. She wears it a lot. She wears it all the time. She comes to all of our boys' hockey games and she wears it a lot. But she has mentioned a few times that she finds it itchy, like the mohair itchy against her neck. So because she wears it so much, I'm going to make her another one. She really likes the color. She really likes the undyed white, cream, whatever you want to call it. It's not white. So I'm just going to hold this. It's a fingering weight. It's a pretty light fingering weight. So I'm just going to hold this double and make her another one. I actually don't think I'm going to use the Sophie scarf pattern again though, because my friend Nicole, who is Prof Purl on Instagram and Professor Purl on YouTube, she released a pattern earlier this year and that I test knit, and it's called the Little Garter Scarf, and I'll put a picture up here. And it is very similar to the Sophie scarf, except it has a really pretty like slip stitch detail that goes up the middle. And yeah, I try not to knit petite knit patterns whenever I can. And I would love to support and promote my friend's awesome little pattern. So I think I'm going to do the Little Garter Scarf, holding that alpaca double. And I think I will make a slight modification to the pattern in that I'm not going to make it as wide as, like, you can kind of, like, she tells you how many stitches to get up to and then just knit straight and then do your decreases. But I think I'm going to make it a little less wide because the version of the Sophie scarf that I made for my mother-in-law, I don't know if I modified that one either. I never write down notes and it's very stupid. But it's not as wide. So I think I will just go until I think it's a good width, and then I will just knit, knit, knit. This is living in this little project bag, which has been buried since I moved, and I was moving stuff around to get out my sock machine, and I uncovered them. Well, I have two of these. One is bigger and one is littler, and this is the littler one. And this is by Her Leather Co., who is Alyssa, and she is a local maker here in Calgary. She makes so many beautiful leather accessories. These project bags are so good. It's like the soft suede on the inside, the really nice leather on the outside. I have had this for a long time, and it is one of my favorites. It's really soft, and it fits a lot of stuff in there. Like, that's just one little whoop. Oopsie. It's one skein of yarn. You could fit at least 4 in there easily. So anyway, go check out Alyssa, Her Leather Co. She's super sweet too. So that's not really a whip yet, but yeah, the other thing I've been working on in the meantime has been my blanket. We're on the finish line here. We're like rounding the corner towards the finish line. And I can't show you because it's way too big, but she lives in here. This is my next color. I finished my October stripe. I'll put my video up here. I do a video when I finish a row or a month, and this is how beautiful she is. If you haven't heard me talk about my blanket before, I'm making this Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose, and I'm using Blanket Club yarn by Polka Dot Creek. So those are the halves of the blocks that are the colors. The other halves of the blocks are just undyed fingering weight, and I'm using this was a fingering weight club, and I hold it double because the pattern is a DK or fingering weight held double pattern. So each month in the Blanket Club this year, you received like a bundle of 9 10-gram mini skeins, and they were all like, each month had a color scheme. So January was pink, February was red, and then there was orange and yellow and green and blue and purple, and like it's beautiful. So that is what I'm doing, and I just finished my October stripe. I am working, or row, whatever you want to call it. I'm working on November right now. I've just done, I think I've got 2 blocks done out of 9. And then for my December, oh, you can't see them down there. For my December row, I will be using Mary Margaret Fibers yarn in a custom rainbow that she dyed for me. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to do it. I can't wait. Okay, so my blanket. And hi guys, I look a little crazy right now, but I am in the middle of editing my video in between kids handing out Halloween candy tonight. If you can't tell, I am Taylor Swift. I've had a few packs of girls come to the door and be like, oh my God, you're Taylor Swift. And like, I'm feeling really good about myself right now. Anyway, while I was talking about the Sweet Shop blanket, I forgot to mention that the 2025 Blanket Club is going on sale at Polka Dot Creek tomorrow, Friday, November 1st. So I just wanted to mention that I forgot. So if you want a blanket like my Sweet Shop blanket, you can go and buy the Blanket Club and make one for yourself. Anyway, happy Halloween and back to editing. And I have a lot of plans. I was recently accepted to a test knit that I got really, really excited for and shouldn't have applied for because I have a lot of plans. Tomorrow's November, so it's gift knitting season. And I have other things that I want to knit. I have all of these sweater quantities that I haven't knit yet, and I really had no business applying for this test knit. I'll talk about that in acquisitions because I did get yarn for it. But I do have a lot of gift knitting plans, and I want to focus on all this gift knitting to, like, the closer we get to Christmas, the more stressed I get. And I know it's just the start of November, but like just thinking about having all of that done makes me feel better. So I have 2 teachers to knit for, and I believe I'm going to make each of them a little garter scarf. My husband, I think I'm planning on making him a pair of socks. He is coaching one of my sons he's coaching one of my son's hockey teams, and the colors of the hockey team are very, very, very similar, if not identical, to the colors of the Seattle Seahawks football team. And I'm trying to find a self-striping yarn in those colors. If anyone has seen any self-striping yarn in the Seattle Seahawks colors, please let me know. Preferably Canadian because yeah, exchange rate and shipping are bonkers. Yeah, so I would like to do that. I might just do like some striping on my own, like just do blue for the main color and then stripe in like the green and whatever on the toe or the heel or the cuff or whatever. But let me know if you've seen anything like that. I usually knit something from both of my parents, and my mom always watches, so I can't talk about what I will make her. But Mom, make sure Dad is not listening to this because I will talk about Dad. And please text me and let me know if you think these ideas are good. For Dad, I have 2 ideas. I either want to make him a pair of mohair socks because last year we went away and they watched our kids, and when we came home I brought them gifts from where we had been, and the one gift, my dad is always cold, always cold. He's always wearing at least 3 layers. He's always wearing very thick wool socks, and where we were there was like some machine made mohair socks, and I bought those for Dad. And Mom said he wears them all the time, all the time. She actually Googled the company that made them and ordered more for him. So I'm thinking I might make him some mohair socks, like held together. I have this DK weight yarn that's just basic gray. It's called Silver Lining. This is a DK weight from Flock Fiber Studio. I can't remember where I got this. I think it might have been in a yarn swap or something. And then I also have this Frankie Gray Fibers mohair called Mouse Gray. So I thought those would be good together for a pair of mohair socks, like a DK weight. mohair sock. Either that, or I was thinking of making him some mittens where the outside is like a nice hardy wool, but on the inside, like, you know, you can make those mittens that are, it's like all one long thing, but then fold half of it into the other half. So the inside lining would be like a mohair held with something, and then the outside could be like a nice hardy wool so that they're nice and warm, but it's not like that hardy wool would be a little scratchy. So with mohair, something on the inside. Let me know what you think, Mom. Yes, and then yes, for my mother-in-law, I'm going to make her that scarf. So 3 scarves, one for mother-in-law, one for teacher, one for other teacher, Dave, possibly socks, Mom, secret, Dad, mittens or socks. And then I have 2 baby knits that I need to decide on. So 2 of the lovely ladies that my husband works with that I know, that we've, not that I know, but they're really nice, really lovely women that Dave works with. And one of them is a knitter and a tech editor actually, as well as a geologist. But they're both named Mary. So the Marys are having babies, and they're both due, one is January, one is February, I think. And neither one of them is finding out the sex of the baby, which as a knitter is very frustrating. But yeah, I have to decide what I'm making them. I would really like to make like a baby version of the Sweet Shop blanket. I know one of my friends in Cochrane, in Airdrie, who's a knitter, her name is Laura. She made a baby version of this Sweet Shop blanket. So Laura, if you're watching this, I should probably just get in touch with you instead of making this your problem. But if you're watching this and I haven't gotten in touch with you, I'm curious. Like it just takes a lot of yarn. It's not hard knitting. It just takes a lot of yarn. So I'm curious if you made the squares smaller, like if you adjusted the stitch count on each square or what. Anyway, still, again, stream of consciousness happening here. So yeah, but then I would have 2. So I would need to make 2 blankets, or I could just make like a little baby sweater. Like, please tell me what your favorite baby gift knits are. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like a little baby hat and baby, like, I don't want to make booties because booties never stay on. I could make them some little baby sweaters, but gender neutral baby sweaters are not very interesting. They're not really that cute, I feel like. Yeah, anyway, let me know if you have any favorite gift knits for babies and I'll go check them out. Yeah, okay. I didn't bring my acquisitions with me either. Holy, I'm a hot mess today. Where is it? It's way over here. Can you hear me? I'm coming. Marco. Hi, I'm back. Okay. I feel like I'm just getting way blown out here today. Okay, so the test knit that I applied for and was chosen as one of the testers is the Alchemy pullover by Knit California, her name is Leslie. And I should make this clear. I applied and I was accepted to the test knit, but then I realized I don't need to be adding the stress of a test knit into, not the stress of, it's fun, but like just knowing that I would have that deadline on top of all the other things that I want to be knitting and just kind of enjoying my own time. So the test knit starting, I think tomorrow or the next day. So she let us know a week ahead, and I let her know a few days ago that I was like, I don't think I should do this. So it's better to bow out before time than just like halfway through just quit and then she doesn't have anyone to fill the spot. So anyway, I'm still going to make the sweater. Now let me tell you about the sweater. It's called the Alchemy Pullover, and it is based on a sweater that Taylor Swift wore to one of the Kansas City Chiefs games last year. I believe it is the one where they won the AFC. Is it AFC or NFC? I don't know. One of the FCs that the Chiefs play for, when they won that one to go to the Super Bowl. So whatever FC that one was. Something football champion, something football, I don't know. I don't really know very much about the NFL. So she wore this beautiful red pullover sweater. It was like a drop shoulder red pullover, like basic stockinette with a really cool like slip stitch detail right above the seam where the drop shoulder is. I'll put a picture up here of Taylor wearing this sweater. And so Leslie decided she really loved that sweater, and she decided to design her own to look like it. And she did an amazing job. Like her sweater, I'll put a picture up of her sweater here that is going into testing right away. And it looks incredible. It looks almost exactly the same as, like, there's a woman on Instagram who posts like what brand and whatever of everything that Taylor Swift has ever photographed wearing. And so on that woman's Instagram, she listed the name of the company that made the sweater. And so I went onto that website and looked at that sweater and like the details and whatever. And Leslie has just absolutely fucking nailed it. Like, it looks so good. So good. And I am absolutely going to make this sweater the second that the pattern comes out, after it has been tested. And I did order the yarn because I got really excited and then decided, yes, this is beautiful, and it's just gonna have to wait until the pattern comes out when it's less stressful. So when it does come out, I am going to be knitting it in Frankie Gray Fibers, DK, what does she call it? Oh, it just says DK weight, in the color Big Apple. Are you ready? Holy shit balls. Like, it almost glows. It's so good. So Frankie Gray Fibers and the colorway Big Apple. It's incredible. I'm generally not a red person. Clearly, I'm a pink person. But goddamn, that is a red that I can get behind. So I did order that yarn from Frankie Gray Fibers. So that is my acquisition this episode. And I was looking for a project bag to put it in, and I thought, okay, I'm using Frankie Gray Fibers yarn, and I needed a sweater size project bag. So we're throwing it back OG style to a, oh, what did she call them? Mrs. Brown's bags. This is back when Jody, if you don't know who Frankie Gray Fibers is, she is Jody, who is one half of the Grocery Girls. And before she started yarn dyeing, she was a bag maker. And this was one of her bags. So we're throwing it back. We're going all Jody, I guess, on this one. But yeah, so that's everything I've got that's knitting related. This is longer than I thought it was going to be because I didn't actually show you very much knitting. Oh, chatty Melissa. Okay, so if you don't want to hear my general life, blah, 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 it's not going to be very long, but if you don't want to, you sign off now and I will try not to hold it against you. I won't actually know, but yeah, bye, and we'll see you later. And for those of you who do care about me, not much has been happening, honestly. It's not gonna be a very exciting life update. Things have been pretty quiet around here during the day, which is nice. I had a lot of knitting to do on this baby. And I just realized I forgot that to say something about this. It's simple. When we picked up this edge, my cast on edge was very tight. And so when I picked this up, it made everything really puckered. So I was panicking a little bit after it was off the needles, and I put it out to look at it, and I was like, oh shit. She looked like a hot mess. It was like very puckered. Like, you know, when you pick up way too many stitches and it's like this, that's what it was like. Thank God for blocking. Okay. She looks beautiful now. Anyway, I just realized I forgot about that. Anyway, life updates, not a lot happening. Knitted a lot on my MCAL. There's been lots of hockey. They're playing games now, which is good. Practice, they usually practice for quite a while and then they start playing games. Practices are very boring. My younger son has been doing a lot of his diving, and I think I've said, in the pre-competitive group, so he doesn't do any actual competitions this year, but they are having a fun competition in late November where nobody else is coming into it. It's just the members of the Dive Calgary organization. So it's just like a fun thing so that these little guys, and I think everyone else but mostly these little guys, can kind of experience what it's like to be in a competition environment, what it's like you get it there and you warm up and you wait for your turn, and then, you know, you have to have this dive and whatever. And so that will be fun for him, I think. But that's not till the end of November. Lots of knitting the MCAL. Like, usually when I've been knitting that much, like I've been knitting like crazy, like a motherfucker crazy. But usually when I knit that much, I have like 3 sweaters to show you, but not this time. Yeah, what have I been doing? I've skateboarded a little bit, not a lot. Dave and I share, there's the indoor skate park where we go to in Calgary has an adult night on Tuesdays, and it's quite expensive. So it just means that it's adults only. There's no like crazy teenagers or little kids like bombing around everywhere. It's just for like all of us old people who still like to skateboard. So it's pretty expensive. So Dave and I, like, you have to register for like the whole session, which is like 4 weeks or 6 weeks or something like that. So Dave and I are sharing that spot. So usually he'll go 1 week and I'll go 1 week. It's also on the same day and immediately after my younger son's diving. So we usually have to kind of juggle who's taking him to diving, who's at home with the other kid, and then like switching off. So one can go to skateboarding and one goes home with diving. Anyway, yeah, a lot of organizing, but still fun. I went last night and it was fun. I got myself a new bruise, so I rarely ever leave a skateboarding session without a new bruise or injury of some sort because I'm old. Yeah, other than that, I mean, like, not a lot has been going on. I mean, I'm always busy doing stuff. I always have knitting stuff on the go. But there's also always just like, I don't have a job. Obviously, I told you I had to quit my job. And this is my kind of, I've always either had kids at home or like when my kids were young, my kids were in kindergarten and grade 1 when COVID hit and everything shut down. So they were like kind of home, and then when they both went to school, then I started working at Polka Dot Creek. So this year is kind of my first year of not working and then being at school all day, and so it's been a little bit of an adjustment, figuring out what to do with myself. Not what to do with myself. I always have something to do. I always have knitting to do. There's always like some errand to run or something, you know, like what do they call it? The mental load. of like being the one who's running the house and running the kids and like the primary whatever you want to call it. I don't want to detract from what my husband does in any way. He works really hard and he is always home for dinner. He is always here on the weekends. He coaches my kids in hockey. Like he is a very present parent. But you know, the mental load that stay-at-home moms have, you know, there's like school pictures, proofs have come, so ordering the school pictures, there's field trips galore that I have to fill out forms for and send in the forms, and emailing the teachers and making appointments for us to go get COVID and flu shots, and like those are extra important this year because I am now immunosuppressed and I do not ever want to be as sick as I was this summer. Sorry, that hair is driving me crazy. If you weren't around when we went on holidays this summer to Spain, I got what we think was COVID, anyway, and because I'm immunosuppressed, it turned into like, it was a massive like upper chest respiratory infection, I think is what they called it. I was sick for like, so sick for like an entire month and a half at least. And I don't want that to happen again. So it's very important that all of us get our COVID shots, get our flu shots. My husband, they bring in a nurse and they get theirs done at work. So it's me making the appointments for me and the kids to go, and like, there's always like, there's the million things running around in a mom's head that need to get done. And anyway, there's all those things, all those boring things that no one talks about that magically get done, right? Yeah, so that's really all that's been going on. So sorry, Darren, for a very, very boring general life update. And yeah, tonight is Halloween. So I've got maybe I can show you my costume is hanging up over there. That's I put a video in last episode of me wearing it and twirling around like a crazy person. That's my Taylor Swift performing the song Willow in the Eras Tour movie. That's my costume. And I've got 300 bags of chips downstairs waiting for all these kids to come. That's how many my neighbors told me to get. So hopefully, I think it's gonna be a very busy night. And other than that, that's all that's been happening. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. Oh, and just a quick reminder that trans rights are human rights, and that access to gender affirming care is suicide prevention. I know that was out of left field, but just a reminder to everyone that watches me. Most people who follow me on Instagram know where I stand on all of these things, but our provincial government is in the process right now of implementing some really, really, really just absolute garbage legislation that is targeted at trans youth in particular, and it's really frustrating. So all of you out there who are allies, please be vocal and contact your local representatives, and I don't know how much there is that we can do about it because they seem very unwilling to, listen to science and medical experts. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more knitting to show you, but thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.